The long-awaited, long-anticipated Rigathi Gachagua interview on Citizen TV at 9 started at a very boring note. It was boring. Tribalism, tribalism, tribalism. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with interviewing a national leader or even a tribal leader and proving to the public, to the Kenyan people, which category that particular leader falls into, especially if that leader intends to present themselves for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya. Oh yes, Rigathi Gachagua threw his hat into the ring and announced officially he is going for nothing less than the presidency. He said that since he knows Ruto so well, he is best placed to remove him, and to ensure that he's a one-term president. But there was a reason why there was so much emphasis on the tribalism, don't you think? You see, everything under the sun has a reason. Because there's definitely a way those questions would have been crafted that would have held the attention of Kenyans, especially at the beginning of the interview. But that is not what happened. On my show today, we will take a look at that and try to find some answers. Now, the interview is not entirely boring. There was some super explosive bombshells dropped casually. I mean, Makombora dropped here and there just like that. And the interviewer was very careful not to do follow-up questions on some super sensitive things that the former Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, a former insider, said. Karibuni, twende kazi. Somebody once said that if you repeat something frequently enough, sooner or later, people will start believing it is the gospel truth. Lakini yenyewe, this narrative of Gachagua being a tribalist is getting boring. Because even if he's a tribalist, so you just call him a tribalist and we move on. Why do we need to come back again and again and again into this narrative? But here is what I think happened. You see, the fellows at Citizen TV are very smart guys. Very smart. And they need to survive. And we know how this regime behaves. Yeah, with standard 2 dropouts, standard 7 dropouts, etc., etc. Who are fond of picking up the phone and flexing their muscles. Nyinyi ndio mnabeba hiyo interview ya Gachagua. Be careful. Unajua serikali ndio inapea nyinyi license. Stuff like that. So they have to be careful. Because at the end of the day, it is a business. It has to survive. It has to generate revenue. Yeah? And so, as much as they need to make us happy, we, the consumers of their content, they also need to be careful. And I believe this is the main reason why this particular Gachagua interview started, handling Gachagua so roughly that at one point of the interview, Gachagua complained that he was being taken through the impeachment process yet again by the interviewer, Yvonne Okwara. You know, it just beats me how some people still think it is possible for them to change their image before the 2027, the scheduled 2027 general elections. In my opinion, it is not possible for some people to change their image for the next 100 years, whatever they do. In this life, there are some circumstances where you cannot change your image. And what you need to do in such instances is pack up your bags and do something else. because there is no need flogging a dead horse. And this regime is still flogging a dead horse. I mean, we have recently been told that the government of Kenya has spent, wait for this one, over 250 million, not Kenya shillings, US dollars on a particular lobbyist in Washington, an associate of Trump. And the whole idea is to change the image of President Ruto. And possibly, this is the man who has been playing a major role in getting an audience for Ruto with President Trump. Now. 250 million US dollars. What can that kind of money do in Kenya today? I mean, if that kind of money was even released into the economy right now, in my opinion, it would have an impact. Because businessmen all over the country are complaining there is no money in the economy. But somebody carries that money and takes it to the US and pays an individual to embark on a mission of no consequence. Because at the end of the day, whatever happens, whether or not he gets an audience with Trump, Trump is not a voter in Kenya even. And where we're going, it will not matter. Don't. Anyway, let's stay on point. We're dealing with the Gachagua interview. There were quite a number of bombshells the former deputy president dropped very casually. According to Gachagua, the money being used for empowerment, being dished out all over the country, is money from Shah. You know, there's a scandal, actually there's several scandals, of a lot of money being paid out by Shah to non-existent health facilities. Okay? According to Gachagua, that is the money now being used for the empowerment programs. And that's not all. Gachagua took us back to something many of us have forgotten, including yours truly. That initially, the government gave the impression they wanted to improve on the NHIF. That is the previous National Health Insurance provider. And they were told it would cost about 800 million to streamline that very vital national organization and ensure that it works efficiently and helps Kenyans, because that is what it's supposed to do. But Gachagua tells us, suddenly he was told that no, he was told by the president himself, no, we have changed our mind. We are not going to spend 800 million reforming the NHIF. Instead, we will spend, wait for this one, 104 billion. Not 800 million, not 1 billion, 104 billion on Shah. According to Gachagua, that setup did not cost more than 1 billion shillings. And therefore the remaining 103 billion went to make some people rich. I mean, Gachagua even called the deputy president Bwana Soprano. Hey! The man was on fire. He was saying that Bwana Soprano is distributing Shah money. Gachagua also gave specifics about bribes given out to MPs. For instance, when he was impeached, each member of parliament got 200,000 Kenya shillings. And senators got, wait for this one, 10 million Kenya shillings each. Gachagua's very valid point here is that a government that has promoted corruption in getting unpopular bills and its agenda, sometimes very evil, through parliament, by paying, bribing members of parliament, cannot turn around and start accusing the same parliament of being corrupt. Does that make sense to you? That was Gachagua's point. Now, I know you may be wondering up to this point why I have not addressed the elephant in the room as far as keen observers of Kenyan politics are concerned. You see, most senior analysts, those who have been around for a long time, understand Kenyan politics, were sure that that Gachagua interview on Citizen TV was not going to happen. The government would find a way to stop it. Okay? Many people were sure of that. Even in the comments area, right here on this channel, several people said, stop wasting your time, Chris, analyzing something that will not happen. That interview will not take place. And these people had a very valid reason for believing what they believed. Because we all know that governments are very powerful. And we all know that some Gen Zs who are no longer with us lost their lives for saying things about President Ruto that are much less sensitive than the many bombshells Gachagua was dropping all over the place, has been dropping all over the place since he started his campaign against the Ruto regime. And so that mystery remains. And in my opinion, it firmly confirms what I've been saying, especially in my latest highly sensitive special report. What I've been saying there about Gachagua currently being untouchable. And I don't want to confuse anybody. So let me explain what I mean by untouchable. There is this boy in class. He is the teacher's pet. And therefore, nobody can dare touch him. Okay? And so you can't do anything to him. But that does not stop a situation where his classmates will do something against him. As long as it is difficult to identify who did it. They could put a pin on his seat. They could trip him in the dark. He can't see who did it, etc., etc. And this is what I mean when I say Gachagua is untouchable. Now I'll give you more details about how to get that highly sensitive special report that I highly recommend you should not miss towards the tail end of my show today. And indeed, untouchable Gachagua, there were serious attempts to touch him. According to Gachagua, he missed death by a whisker at the pipeline area because as his vehicles were passing that area, somebody dropped a large boulder on his vehicle. Now I think we appreciate how dangerous that can be. But fortunately, Gachagua, and I believe his aides, survived that one. And I suspect the difference between life and death was simply somebody underestimating the strength of that particular vehicle. In other words, it took the very heavy boulder much better than was expected. Here too, otherwise we may have been talking a different story today. And what this means is that going forward, Bwana Gachagua needs to be careful because anything can happen. Anything can happen. But for me, the biggest, most devastating bombshell by far came fairly late in the show. And it was this, that the abductions and killings of youngsters was discussed at a National Security Council meeting. Do you know the implications of that? And Gachagua says he saw the plans. And Gachagua adds that it was authorized to create a killer squad of AP administration police officers, 101 of them, who were seconded to the National Intelligence Service. And then they were given very high skills training in abductions, killings, and cover-ups. And according to Gachagua, all this was authorized by the president. Hey, I still can't believe I still can't believe. Because in other countries, this thing would have been done much more secretly than that. But you see, the National Intelligence Service is a national institution, a national organization. It keeps records. It has members of staff who will remain there even after this presidency ends. And that opens the door for all kinds of prosecutions later, all kinds of revelations later. It doesn't make sense to me. That was the biggest revelation. Closely followed by the following one. Gachagua told us there's a petition pending at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. And this idea, this new initiative, being led by Professor Makau Mutua, to compensate victims, their families mostly, of those who have lost their lives or been injured by the police. That one, it is a scheme. To achieve what? It is a scheme to identify the possible witnesses for the ICC petition. And you know, if those possible witnesses are identified and compensated, they will not testify in the petition. And therefore the petition will be dead on arrival. Hey! You know, these things came late in the show. A lot of people had gotten very bored with the back and forth tribalism manenos. And you know, it was at the end of the day, people are tired from work. By this time, wengi walikuwa wameanza kusinzia. And therefore I'm thinking, many people missed this. Even if they had it, it did not register. Hey, this is crazy. This is more than crazy. Well, in summary, as the young people like to say these days, Gachagua injected properly. Now, very quickly before I go, you will remember I mentioned my highly sensitive special report that has been vindicated. There would have been doubts if Gachagua had been stopped from this explosive interview that revealed so much. I am certain that the folks at State House were shaking in their boots as Gachagua was talking, releasing these bombshells. The fact that that interview took place vindicates the highly sensitive content in this special report. Now you can see details on your screens right now. For only Kenya shillings 19.99, you can get it pop in your inbox. Now there's something else I'd like to announce. I have received a lot of appeals from many of you that they want to have a golden pass to everything Kumekucha. Now this is not for everybody, I totally understand, but for those who are interested, you can still join the Super 20, the ones who are lucky during our celebrations of 20 great years of the Kumekucha brand, and received this golden key, golden pass to everything Kumekucha. You now have a chance to join them, for only 6K and a few hundreds. You can see details on your screens right now. In case you're interested in that, go for that. But I appreciate it is not for everybody, so the rest of us can ignore it. But what I would like to really recommend is for you to ensure that you get hold of this latest, highly sensitive special report. Even if you don't like Rigathi Gachagua, let us agree to analyze politics without emotions, and to see the things which really matter, and to ignore the things which don't matter, and then to have a separate session for releasing steam and releasing our emotions. Okay, that way we will not be ignorant, we will not miss very important things unfolding in Kenyan politics. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.